Okay, question number 1. The creative economy is not only a name used to describe certain jobs and businesses, it's a core part of Providence's identity. In that role, as both economic engine and nurturer of the city's soul, the arts demand our attention. The question to each of you then is, what will you do to not just maintain the status quo with regard to the arts in Providence, but advance their health, their impact, and their attractive powers? Oh, and by the way, how will you do that without spending any money?
Thank you. I'm Stephen Costantino, and I am running for mayor of Providence, and I want to thank our Rhode Island Citizens for the Arts, as well as Mark Murphy from Providence Business News for having this forum. I think that is a critical question, particularly the last part. How do you create the energy and the synergy and continue the vibrancy of the arts and culture under these very difficult times? And I will say this. I think the key to whether you're the creative capital or you call yourself something else, the key to creativity and sustenance is the word economy. Because as much as we have to invest in the arts, we need people to invest in what the arts produce. So it's a double economy. We need to continue our investments and maintain our investments, but at the same time, we need to be, what I think is much more important, the jobs capital. Because people need to be working, people need to be employed to purchase the great things that come out of the talent that we have in this city. As well as, I believe the Zymetica example is a prime example that this city has to have an economic climate that wants business to maintain, to come here, stay here, and invest here. But the critical question, and what I've noticed that Citizens for Arts groups across the country, and one thing I have actually been moving on, is collaboration. In times of difficulty, arts organizations and cities need to collaborate when the money and the resources are not there. I think the Water Fire, Philharmonic, Festival, Ballet collaboration was a perfect example of how we can maintain the creativity and the sustenance of arts in our community.
Okay, so you noticed, by the way, I forgot to mention we have a timekeeper down here. So you said a lot of nice things, but my question is, how do you use the mayor's office to foster collaboration?
You use the mayor's office to foster collaboration, and I did this year with the example that I just used in terms of the Philharmonic, the Festival Ballet, in the position I had. You use the mayor's office in the same way. I think we have to understand the dollar is limited. We can't fight for the dollar in our applications, so you put out RFPs for money that insist on collaboration, so that as a requirement of receiving the dollar, there has to be the collaboration among arts groups, because that's how we survive these economic times, rather than all of us fighting for the $1. Let's share the dollar and do something exciting.
Okay.
First of all, thank you all for being here, for the invitation tonight. I think one of the first things we have to do, and I've learned this running for mayor, is to emphasize to everyone in the city what Mark talked about earlier. $112 million to 2,800 jobs just in the city, so that people understand that the arts are also a huge part of our economy in the city. And I want you to know what we've done in my campaign and what I plan on doing as mayor. We created an Arts and Culture Policy Council, and I'm proud to say it was led by Jason Yoon, who's here tonight, in New Urban Arts. And we try to get some of the most creative minds in the state to really serve on it and help us with respect to that. Anaisha Ruth, Bert Kranker, David Ortiz, Pete Hockey, Ruth Dealey, Mary Kim Arnold, Don King, and Barbara Wong all served on that. And what we did is really develop a policy for the future. And it's built on 5 issues, really. Building on what we have, making permanent the Office of Arts and Culture and Tourism. That's not going to cost us any more money. It's simply going to take the discretion away from any future mayor to eliminate it, because there is a staff there now, so it's not going to cost us any more money, and the work they do is amazing. Leveraging the City Hall and creating a United Arts Fund to help with startup capital, matching grants, and no interest loans. Restoring arts education in our schools through city and nonprofits working together. Reforming our tax, zoning, permitting, and licensing. And making art ubiquitous, making art everywhere, having festivals everywhere, doing what the department does now, and that is having concerts in all of our neighborhoods, having the ability to bring people together. So I think the mayor's office has to have that vision and the ability to bring people together, the leaders in our city and our state, to make sure that it happens here in Providence.
I grew up in South Providence. My mother cleaned houses. She was an immigrant from Italy. I grew up in poverty. Me and my brother used to draw each other Christmas gifts. We were so poor. That's all we had for Christmas was a gift that we each drew each other. So I understand the arts. I understand the impact they have on society. Obviously, there's little content that's going to be said by the other candidates here tonight. They're not really talking very much about the real issues. In Oneyville, 300 artists were kicked out in the middle of winter several years ago when it was 17 below zero. None of these people stood up against that. I did. In 1989, I came to the city with an idea to bring gondolas into the city of Providence. They laughed at me at first and then they stole my idea. That's okay, because it was a good idea, and a lot of things happened around that idea, including water fire and moving of rivers and a lot of other ideas that formed out of just a simple idea that one citizen brought forward, and somebody did listen to it. It was Cianci. I went to the state. I went to Almond several years ago with Cara Russo, who was the marketing manager at the Providence Civic Center, with an idea to renovate the Civic Center with proposals, and outlined prospectuses that were done on projects in Pawtucket and throughout the state that had shown the economic impact of developing the arts. And of course, that was a project that came to fruition with the Dunkin' Donuts Center. I want to build a billboard on the Civic Center to market different artists throughout the state of Rhode Island. It's a perfect location for that. It's a proposal I put forward years ago. That will create an online mall that artists can market their material to over 1 million people that reach that location every single year. And it's a huge amount of people that reach that specific location on the highway. 95 has a great traffic flow. Obviously, I'm a filmmaker. I'm a documentary maker. I made a film on the life of Michelangelo. I won an award for that film that I did. I'm a songwriter. I'm on YouTube right now. I'm fairly well known on there right now. I want to build a hat shell on Fox Point so artists can perform there, and the local radio stations can help promote those events. Okay. And also, I want to create on-street parking citywide so artists have the ability to park their cars. Okay, it's simple enough, right?